Hey guys, Marmalade here. Welcome to Marmalade Outdoors, and I'm excited about this little quick series it's going to be. I put a post on the community tab of my YouTube channel just asking for questions. I've got 1,690 miles done of the PCT, so almost 1,700. I've got 953 to go, but I spent 4 years out there, and honestly, before those 4 years, I section hiked section A, B, and C through the desert of the PCT. I probably did at least 2,000 miles over a couple of years, so I have a lot of miles on the PCT. And I thought it might be fun to do a series of what I know or learned, what you want to know about the PCT, whether you're planning through hiking or you're just curious about people that hike, you know, from Mexico to Canada for a half a year, and what it's like and some of the things we do or go through, things like that. So I asked in the community page, and if you haven't already, go on there. It's on, when you go to my channel, look at the top and go over to community, and you'll see it's a couple of posts down, and leave me some more questions. But right now I have enough videos to do about 3 or 4 questions for about 4 or 5 videos, so that's what we're going to do. If I get more questions, we'll keep going, but this is the first video in this series, and I have 4 questions. So let's go over number 1. I'm going to read it because I don't have it memorized. All right, so my first question is, it's a little tough to say. I want to give credit to the people that ask the questions. Aetherius Aesthetic. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but what made you decide to make this your YouTube niche, and did you just jump into it, or was there a ton of planning? Well, I can be honest to you, there was zero planning, zero. It's funny, kind of funny how this whole hiking and backpacking thing started up, but with the channel, I was not a hiker. I refused to hike, never did it. I think I did a backpacking trip when I was in Scouts, and that's it. But I've been an athlete my whole life. As I got older, in my 50s, I'm a typical guy. I was in my 50s and not as active, and I started to get thicker in the midsection like a lot of guys do, and I'd never had a weight problem, so I had to really address it. And I was lifting weights, and I don't need to be huge and buff for like my ego or to feel like my arms are big. So like I was at the gym and I'm lifting weights, but I'm like, this isn't helping get thin down. I wanted to lean down, so I decided to hike. And so the first thing I did was I asked around, and Meetup, which is an app that's free on your phone, seemed the best way to start out hiking. So I signed up for a bunch of hiking groups in San Diego, and I signed up for 6 or 8, and I canceled it every time at the last minute. I don't know why, but I had a hard time starting because I was actually very intimidated by the whole thing. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know the right clothes. I didn't know if I had to have special shoes or boots. I didn't know anything, and so I kept canceling. I finally went, and I went on the New Year's Day, and it was a big group, and they were friendly and welcomed me. They had no clue. I just pretended like I knew what I was doing, but I didn't do very well. I got a blister, and I learned that I need to start out slow, not do as many miles as I tried to do the first time, and less elevation, just kind of work into it. So that's what I did. But I didn't even know if I really fell in love with it at first. A lot of people say, oh, I found this sport, I fell in love, but this relationship with hiking and backpacking took a while. So when it came to this channel though, I was out hiking for about a half a year, and I've never made a video in my life, never even used the video thing on my phone. But I was hiking with a friend, and I said, let's try to make a video. So I started doing it, and it's funny because they're still on my channel. I've almost deleted them. There's 3 of them, and they're horrible. I mean, I'm not being critical. They're horrible. And you can get free music off your phone, and it's so loud that you can't hear a word I'm saying. Super blurry and grainy. You can't even hardly tell it's me. But those are my first videos, and I was self-conscious, even by myself. And I'm an outgoing person, but it was weird talking to the camera, so I was self-conscious about that. I was going to delete him because they're that horrible, but one of my friends is on him, and he's since passed away. He's only about 45. I worked with him in a previous life at Callaway Golf Company, and he was just a great guy, and he's in one of the very first videos, so I want to keep it for remembering him. But I fell in love, and the reason why I picked this niche was, and not golf, which was my passion, and other things, is a couple things. But as I got older, I realized that I'm not just an athlete, that I have a creative side to me that I didn't know I had. I never pursued it or even noticed it. And I felt like filming activity I was doing was a really creative way to do it. I've come a long way, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. But the other reason why I did it was my son at the time was in high school, but I thought it'd be cool. I wasn't even into backpacking then or all the things I've done since, but I was just hiking. But I thought it'd be cool to have videos for my son on my YouTube channel of me doing these activities, so when I'm long gone he can watch them and things like that, and maybe it inspires other people. But that's not why I started. But that's why I picked the niche. I wasn't really doing anything else, so there was no other niche to show, and it just seemed natural to do it and just progress from there. All right, the second question is actually from somebody It goes by Cameron Lawrence. That is actually my son, and it's great to see a question from you, Cameron. I appreciate it. What did you tend to think about the most while on trail or trying to fall asleep at night? Is there a lot going on in your head, or is it mainly goal-based and focused on the next day or the task at hand? So that's a great question. You know, and my son's from a different era. He's technically a millennial, and we're different. I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have all this. I didn't have video games, so I went out and played, you know. And so I think it's sad for our youth because they have to have input. I mean, we all do, right? We're all used to our phones now. We have to have input all the time, and we can't slow down and appreciate the beauty of slowing down and not clutter our mind with lots of stuff. And I'm still trying to get my son on a hiking or a backpacking trip so he can learn that. But to answer your question, Cameron, it's probably the most happy and free I ever am in my whole life being on trail, but specifically backpacking. Day hiking's fun, but I'm back in my car and back to the world. When I'm backpacking, ideally, you know, on the PCT where I'm out there for a long period of time, it's the best. So in my mind, to be literal, when I'm on trail, one of the things that I've promised myself is to be present when I'm on trail, to not, you know, do stuff on my phone or wonder what's going on. So when I'm on trail, I'm actually, for a person who has mind is going all the time like I have, it helps me. I realize it's good for me, and I slow down and I try to be present, which means not think about other things. And when I go around a corner, what's around the next corner? Am I almost done with the climb? When am I going to take a break? I mean, the main things I think about, my mind doesn't think about, you know, do I need to pay a bill? I need to get gas. Oh shoot, I got to call a person back. Oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. All this stuff that we have, that we've enveloped ourselves with in our life and we're used to, that all goes away, and I'm the most free and the most happy and the most relaxed. And so when I'm on trail, it's literally like, where's the next water, you know? And I want to go 20, but can I go 22? Or like, I like to challenge myself with that kind of stuff, and especially at being 60 years old. So Cameron, at night, I also normally have a hard time sleeping because my mind's going 1,000 miles an hour. But when you backpack 15 to 25 miles a day, you are plumb worn out. So no, I mean, I fight it. When I get into camp, I set up my tent, get everything laid out first, especially in case it rains, you have somewhere to get out of the rain. But I eat, and I'm already fighting and falling asleep. So in real life, I'm not like that, but on trail, I'm as happy as can be. I get to hike all day, get the physical exercise I need, I'm worn out, and I pass out. So I think that's a good answer for your question. All right, question number 3 is from somebody I've got to meet finally at Trail Days, but also is very active on my channel. I really appreciate you, is Shanks Mayer. He asked one of the questions, we have a few, but in this video, I picked one of them. What is your total pack weight when you leave town for a 100-mile trip? Say Acqua Dolce to the 58, which I'm not sure where the 58 is. I did that section, but I don't remember anymore. How many liters of water are included in the weight? I guess what I'm looking for is a max total weight you might carry, not a base weight. So I'm going to go over a few things, and obviously that evolves depending, and I should say evolves depending on the section I'm doing, time of year, the weather, temperatures, all that kind of stuff, and how long I have to carry to the next water. But my base weight to start with, we're going to go over the whole thing, but the base weight right now is a fraction over 13, between 13 and 13 and a half pounds. That's everything. That's no food or water. So 100 miles, if I do, let's pretend I do 20 miles a day, that's a 5-day carry. The weight of my food is generally around 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds per day. So let's say it's 2 pounds, so that's 10 more pounds, so I'd be at 23 and a half. And then the water is heavy. Now, I can't carry water, of course, for 100 miles. So I would say, let's say I'm going to do, a normal water carry is about, 5 to 10 miles. So let's say it's 10 miles. I drink about 1 liter every 4 or 5 miles. And I can obviously extend that if I don't have much water coming up, or it's cold, I don't drink much. If it's hot, I drink more. But let's say it's in the average. So let's say I have 2 more liters. Each liter is 2.2 pounds. So that's 4.4 pounds. So I think to answer your question, when I've weighed, I don't have a scale. The thing, I need to buy a luggage scale that has a handle. I can weigh my pack right before I start my trips. I need to do that. And I can put it on my videos at the beginning, like starting at this pack weight. Maybe after I'm done eating the food, I can put at the end what I weigh. But with 2 liters of water, let's say, I'm between 25 and 30 pounds. So I think that's a guesstimate. Many times on trail, when I've hiked with people that have a scale, I've weighed mine with, you know, 3 or 4 days of food and some water in there, and it's around 25 pounds. So I'm gonna guess that my pack is normally 25 to 30, but I've gotten my pack very light, and just depends on the section what I bring and don't bring. Okay, the fourth and final question for this video, because it's kind of getting long, and actually I lied, I didn't look at my notes close enough, but I had picked another one from Shanks Mare. Thank you for all the questions, by the way, Shanks Mare. Appreciate that very much. But I like this one, and I have to think about it. But so far, what sections have been the hardest? So this is tough because, you know, we're all different, you know, and what we consider hard. Doing the whole desert, 702 miles to start my through hike was very difficult. I started in the spring, it was cooler, but it was very cold at night. It was in the 30s every night for about 3 weeks, and didn't rain much, which was good. But then when we got to Tehachapi and past that to the Mojave Desert, it got to be super hot, and it's very exposed. It could be 80 out, which is hot for backpacking, but literally you're being fried by the sun the whole day, so it's just searing on you, so it just takes it out of you. But let me think about this. I'm gonna say, now I don't know what a section is, I'm just gonna pick areas, because let's see here. I think the section I just did is the hardest. Remember this year I got in by Red's Meadow at Mammoth, and I was going up to Ashland, 800 miles. I did end up doing a little over 300, but doing the Sierras I did from Red's Meadow, it was 3 days or 4 days, I forget, to Tuolumne Meadows. The section that was really hard was Tuolumne Meadows going northbound to what was it, Sonora Pass. So that was about 75 to 85 miles, and I did it with the hiking rev, and that was extremely hard. I don't know why, but nobody ever talks about it. But it's very steep, and like there were times we did 3 major passes in a 12-mile section, which isn't many miles, and it was not just the steep, it was full of rocks, just super difficult, like doing Stairmaster up big giant rocks, super steep, super sketchy, and just uneven and rough. And then I'm very fast on the flat and down. That's where I can kind of make up for my being slower on the uphill. And it was so steep down and just full of rocks, and like gravelly rocks where if you step on, they roll like marbles and you fall down. So you had to be extremely careful. It was actually more dangerous going down than up. And it just was hard. I mean, you can ask Red, we had a hard time. But for me, that was maybe the hardest section. I would say a close second. And remember, I haven't done all the whole trail yet, but I have been told I've done a lot of the hardest parts. The other hard part, to be honest with you, is my first year. Remember, I did the desert, 702 miles, and I flipped up to the Hearts Pass, got up to the monument. It was coming down when I got hurt. I did 200 miles. But the next hardest part, and maybe it's hard because, you know, you always think the most recent one's the hardest, but I did the legendary 108-mile section between Stehekin down to Stevens Pass, and that's where I broke my ankle and hiked the 80 miles on a broken ankle. And it's not because I got hurt at all. I still would probably say it's the hardest, but it has not been maintained per the PCTA in almost 20 years now. It was 16 or 17 years 3 years ago, so it's about 20 years. They can't get, it's all volunteer based, they can't get volunteers, and man, is that hard. It's not only brutally steep, but very rough. A lot of the bridges washed out, lots of blowdowns. Imagine how many trees have fallen down in 20 years. And it's just straight up and straight down and just brutal. So I not only had to do that section, I had to do it with a broken ankle. So that adds to the difficulty. So I would say those 2 sections, Shanks, were the toughest for me. All right, that's it for this video. I hope that wasn't too long. I think answering the first question, I kind of went long, so I'll try to keep them shorter next time. But we've got at least 3 or 4 more videos coming with the questions I have. But if you have not asked a question, ask down below. If you want to know more things about the PCT, things you wonder about, the planning of it, you know, how we map or how we navigate, things like anything, it could be anything. But you ask away down below, and that'll add to the videos. But I'm really enjoying kind of sharing some of my knowledge that I have so far and my experience with the PCT. But thanks for watching. Make sure you gotta subscribe, you gotta like, you gotta hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time you see a new video. And until the next video, we'll definitely see you down the trail.